What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am the OG Fig Kid, Thomas Montalto.
I'm Chat.
And I'm Mike Belcaster. What's up?
My mic was muted, god damn it.
What are you doing? You're killing me now. So today we're here to talk about, it broke on the internet today, even though it was from back in April. Nick Khan saying that WWE is not a wrestling company. We're just here to talk about that a little bit, break it down, give our thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, was this ever in the news, or is it just coming back up and being circulated?
I just heard today for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some Nick Khan stories out there where he's kind of like talking shit out of his ass, but like this specifically I haven't heard until this afternoon. So I was, surprised to see it, man.
Yeah, and he made the comment in the clip that went around, the wrestling media today about, we don't even use that term. I think all of us know that Vince hates the term pro wrestling, so that wasn't a shocker to me.
No,
but I mean, it just irritates me because, what's your biggest event of the year? Are you just going to change the name to Mania and get rid of the wrestle out of it? Like, What are you talking about? Your company is based around wrestling. Your company was built on wrestling. So to say you're not a wrestling company is spitting in all the fans' faces now and all the fans' faces that helped you get to be this billion-dollar company.
Honestly,
it's just an insult.
Yeah, dude, it's not even just an insult to us fans. It's an insult to all the guys on your roster who grew up wanting to be pro wrestlers.
100%.
They grew up wanting to be pro wrestlers, and now you're going out there and saying, we're not a wrestling company. Well, then what the fuck are you? I mean, sports entertainment, fine, but this all revolves around the wrestling, the stories in the ring. And I know, Vince, we make movies. Well, your movies suck. I mean, your movies are terrible. Like, and I'm not talking about the movies that he thinks he's making in the ring. I'm talking even the stuff, the Marine and all these movies. Like, have they ever made anything worth a damn? Like anything?
No.
I mean, I've never even went out of my way. I don't think I've ever seen one WWE film.
Yeah, I don't think we can consider Walking Tall with the Rock a WWE film. But that was like, right before all that shit went down. I think this is all over the place crazy. You have your staple of like you go in, you're watching the staple. You go in, you're watching, 2 or more performers inside of a 20 by 20 wrestling ring. Not an entertainment ring. It's not, everything that involves WWE, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. It's not like there's a talk show going on and then there's like guys breaking out and fighting and scenes. This is what we grew up on. This is pro wrestling. At the end of the day, that's it. There's no work around it. Like you can't go up and just start making bullshit up and you're like, well, it's not wrestling because we have writers and our talent is scripted based programming. It's just
like, dude, I hate to break the news to you, Vince. You don't have a bunch of Daniel Day-Lewis's working on your roster. These guys are pro wrestlers. They're not the best actors, like some of them kill it, but it's just a ridiculous statement. And sometimes I do think it's a talk show, Mike, when they cut those 20-minute awful promos to start the show.
Fair point.
How many years ago you would only have one of those wrestler talk shows like Alexa's Playhouse or whatever. Now you have multiple in a night sometimes. So they really are trying to change it into a more into a one of those variety shows, and it's a wrestling show. If you focused more on the wrestling aspect out of it and not the entertainment aspect, you'd get more of the wrestling fans back. If you focused on the people who wanted to watch it, your ratings would go up, but you keep focusing on what you feel is right. And we know Nick Khan is only being a puppet and repeating what Vince is saying. It's not him. It's not his idea to say we're not a wrestling company. That's what he's hearing from Vince. Yeah. We know that, but focus on the wrestling. Focus on Monday Night Raw because, damn, I'll agree, that's not a wrestling show. That's a garbage show. That's a terrible, terrible show right now.
Well, I mean, Bully Ray, he says it all the time, is talking about more Raw than SmackDown, but I think you could almost say it about the entire company. It's not they don't treat it like pro wrestling anymore. It's treated like a sports entertainment variety show.
Yeah.
You know, it's very, very. It honestly hurts. It hurts my feelings
I agree.
that this is the directive in this company, because Nick Khan right now is the second most powerful man in WWE.
Yeah.
All of these guys, all of these cuts that are being made is coming from this man. Of course, they're being signed off on by Vince.
Yes.
But this is the guy who's running down the list and being like, okay, who can we get rid of? And for him to be, you know, he's carrying out marching orders by Vince. But still yet, man, this is the philosophy of this company right now. And how, if you grew up loving the golden era in the 80s and 90s, if you grew up loving the attitude era, and you can still like just full on support this company and not really see that, you know, it's reflected on the on-screen product, but the behind the scenes philosophy, it is the reason why we bitch about the product, is because it's not being handled the right way before we ever see it on the screen. The entire philosophy of this company is I think really, really impacting how the quality is suffering, man. It's just suffering.
Yeah. Well, the fact that you have rewrites right up until the show goes on the air is terrible. Because how are you supposed to have anything smooth and you know, how does anybody feel good about that? Even the writers, like, I think it sucks that I have so many writers. I hate that it's scripted, but you have writers that their stuff is getting changed right up until airtime, and it's got to be better than what Vince is rewriting it with. Because whenever you hear there are rewrites the whole day, the show absolutely sucks.
Right?
Yeah. So. No, it's like consistency. How can you go into it? What do you get at the arena? Probably like 2-3 o'clock, possibly earlier. You know. And then you're told right when you get there something completely different than what you're doing, you know, in 4 hours, 5 hours. But like, how do you work like that? And I get that's part of the job, but like, at some point it should be a little more planned out ahead of time. Like, and you shouldn't have to go in there as a performer and have to deal with rewrites and stuff like that, because at the end, like, that sucks. Like, that's got to damage like your mentality of what your brain thought is of your character, what you're doing, what's your goal for that night to go out there and do something, and then you're just gonna be like, wow, like, okay, like, it's changed the whole thing. Dean Ambrose said it a lot when he was talking about, you know, the end of his tail end run in WWE. He was complaining like, dude, I would have come out there to have this idea, that Vince would come at me like, you know, an hour beforehand, like, oh, you're gonna put a hazmat suit on, pal. You're gonna go out there with you know, pepper spray or something. Like, it's just stupid shit. But like, it happens to everybody, and that's the thing that sucks about it. It's like that. It's got to like kind of break you down a little bit, and it'll be like, okay, like you have no control over yourself. So like, you're going out there and you're just doing a job at that point.
And what are these wrestlers thinking? You know, obviously they're not going to say anything publicly because they're under contract and they know they'll get buried, but it's like, what are they thinking? Like, are they like, man, I got to get out of here? Are they like, yeah, but it's WWE, we get all the, you know, the eyes on us?
Yeah.
Why would a wrestler?
It's a very good point.
It's very true.
It's true. So now you got writers who are half-heartedly doing it because they know what they do is going to get changed anyway. So why should they put a full effort into it?
And that goes for the wrestlers too.
100%. Imagine if you gave these guys some of the control in what their character is and what they say. You know, a few of them do, but not many. And you could see the guys that have a little more freedom are the guys who are more entertaining because they have their belief behind it. They have their faith in it.
Yeah.
And the guys 100%. Who don't. So,
yeah. Did you guys see, you know, talking about Nick Khan saying it's not a wrestling company. It's we don't even use that term. And we all know Vince says it's sports entertainment. Did you guys see the news that they're going to they have a new series with Blumhouse, which is a very respectable production company. I think it's called The United States versus Vince McMahon. This is a dramatic TV series. I gotta say, I'm interested in that. But yeah. And they also announced that they're going to be doing a live, almost QVC type WWE merchandise show on YouTube.
Yes, I did see that.
So it's like stuff like that, man. Like, Can we just have a fucking wrestling show, man?
Yeah.
Put all these efforts into Monday Night Raw instead of it being a 3-hour abysmal show that it is.
Yeah.
It's funny because SmackDown is more of a wrestling show. It's funny how much better it is than Raw when it's the same people in control that it actually resembles a wrestling show. I'll leave it at that. But
I feel like they're spreading themselves thin. Like they're
Yeah.
trying to expand so much, and hats off to Vince. He's built this thing into a global empire. Jesus, the thing is as big as it could be. But by doing that, I feel like in the time they've really wrapped their hands around being a global just empire, that has also been, as it's rose as a global empire, the storytelling and the quality has slowly descended. So you have this arch one way of the company becoming more mainstream, bigger, more money. At the same time, storylines gradually, I'm not saying it's been shit but it has gradually gotten worse and worse and worse the further we've got away from the 90s.
But the ratings reflect that. And just to give an example, last week they knew, it was going to be their first live Monday Night Raw. You would have thought they would have pulled out all the stops to put on a great show, and they didn't. They knew they were going to have more eyes. GCW this weekend knew they were going to have more eyes, and they put on an amazing show, thinking, all right, we have a shot today to try and gain a bunch of new fans and keep viewership. Raw had the same thing last week, and they did not take advantage of it. I fully expect to see a big drop from last week's ratings on Raw tonight, and I can't wait to see them come out and see how much it is, because they picked up 400,000 last week because they knew the diehards want wrestling with fans. I don't think those people who
Cena
came
was
back,
that 400
plus the live crowd. It was gonna get a boost last week no matter what.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be, they saw the same old terrible storytelling that we've seen, for the last, not only since the pandemic started, but since the McMahons came out there and promised to give people what they wanted to see. Since before that, because there was a reason why they came out at that point and made that promise.
Dude, they never have a sense of urgency. I've never seen someone get high on their own supply like WWE. Dude, you made a great point, Tom. They always have these moments where they could just completely change course and grab us by the balls again. And they never do it. And then you get this little upstart indie company. I hate to say upstart because they are pretty much the creme de la creme of American independent wrestling right now, GCW. But they get a guy who brings eyes, and what do? They pull all the stops out and try and hook new fans. And they did, I feel like.
Absolutely.
From reading the response around the internet, they definitely did what they it paid off for them. They're going to see fans.
But you know what the difference is, and this goes back to the title of this video, GCW and companies like that, they grab fans by the balls because they are pro wrestling. And that is what pro wrestling does. When you get eyes, you hold them, you keep them. If WWE isn't treating this company like it's a pro wrestling company, they're getting away from the natural booking that has been there since the dawn of pro wrestling. And that is grab your audience, make them believe, and keep them there. And WWE doesn't follow that anymore. They expect us to be there without giving us a reward for watching. They just know we're going to be there.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I have no problem with all the other stuff they want to do as a company, but just make the wrestling shows, and then do that stuff too. I think people would have less of a problem with it if that's what they did.
Yeah.
The whole thing's like the music industry, right? Like you start a band's badass, punk band, metal band, anything like that. You're getting your homegrown crowd. You put out a few records, you're doing great. But then at some point, some bands hit that stride where they get too big for their own good. Yeah. And then they change their whole gimmick around, and they start playing, poppy songs, and they're selling out arena shows, and they're not doing these intimate shows. And it's just like WWE's where they're almost too big for their own good, to where it's been so big for so long, it keeps growing, that it's just putting a sour taste in the diehard, the original fans' mouth, and they're just trying to swoon all these younger people coming in. And we've seen, there's people who aren't our age that didn't grow up on what we grew up, and this is the kind of product that they're trained into liking the most. And that sucks, because you got all these great different outlets out there now. GCW, Ring of Honor, Impact, AEW, NWA. You're not struggling to find, like, there's no shortage of better content out there. It's just this is what, you go to a morning show, you say wrestling, they say, oh, WWE.
Yeah.
It's almost like memorized, burnt into their brains that, oh, this is what wrestling is. But then they contradict themselves by saying, this isn't pro wrestling, this is a television show.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch the Kevin Nash Broken Skull sessions yet?
I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, he made an excellent point saying how the one thing Vince McMahon cannot take is losing. And the only thing WWE hasn't done yet is lose to AEW in the ratings. When that actually happens, and we see little signs that Vince is starting to crack. He's allowing blood again. He hasn't allowed blood since probably the Attitude Era. And before the Attitude Era, blood was cut off. Before that, if you remember, there was no blood. So he's starting to get little cracks. But when, it's not if at this point, it's when AEW passes Raw in the ratings. And if Daniel Bryan and CM Punk show up like the rumor is, they're going to blow past Raw and catch up to SmackDown real fast. Vince, you're going to start seeing heads really turn out there.
Yeah.
And that's Kevin Nash said he will not take losing. He talked about it when he started losing to WCW. It's the whole thing why DX started and why the whole Attitude Era was given to us. So, I mean, thank God for AEW. Either they're going to have to shit or get off the pot, or else they're going to be left with no ratings, and these billion-dollar contracts will eventually go away.
Well, yeah, we're already seeing a little bit of that fear from Vince because, he tried to put the foot on the throat of AEW before they even started by jumping their debut by 2 weeks, putting NXT on USA. And then when NXT got their asses handed to them pretty much 90% of the time, and they had to move nights, now you see Vince distancing himself from NXT. NXT when AEW was kicking off, they were a part of Survivor Series, all of this stuff. And now Vince is stepping back and he's not even letting Charlotte count her NXT title reigns. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
When they announce her now, her title reigns are only her WWE title reigns. They used to include the NXT title reigns in her number of world championship reigns. So they're distancing that. They're really going back to almost treating the company like a developmental, which it is. Yeah. And to what Mike was talking about, though, I think Vince, it's the you can't see the forest for the trees type of thing. I think he is in this bubble surrounded by yes men, and I don't think he knows that it's good or that it's not good. I should say. Yeah. Like, I don't think he realizes.
No.
He doesn't know what it is at this point.
No, and whoever's talking to him, they're not going to fucking open up his eyes and his mind and show him this is what you're actually competing against. Like, if whatever Vince does see of the other product, I'm sure it's like 5-second clips or whatever. It's like no way in hell has he sat down and tuned in to a whole, AEW show and seen the fans, the people, the work put into it, the actual matches, seeing how it all like develops and works together. It's just crazy.
And Sneed, I think it is a WWE type of thing.
Yes, yes. They don't say wrestling on the show much at all anymore.
Just like Dunkin' Donuts. It's just Dunkin' now.
Just Dunkin'.
What the fuck, you guys? what happened to the donut guy, man?
and in our little text group we have, when you initially sent this screenshot, Mike, and everybody started having meltdowns. When Sneed responded, it hit me so true. It's like, dude, you've made up my mind. I've been trying to hang on to what little bit of fandom I had for this company.
Yeah.
But when I know that you don't give a fuck from the top down and wrestling is just like the last thing on your mind and you want to go make movies and all this bullshit, why should I give a shit?
Yeah.
You've just made up my mind for me. Like there are other companies out there. I don't need you anymore. And Mike kind of Mike started talking about this a little bit, and I wanted to comment. People treat WWE like this is wrestling, like UFC is to MMA. When people think MMA, it's UFC, football, NFL. This is not. And for 20 years, I feel like the fans, it was Stockholm syndrome. This is all we really had for mainstream national TV, United States pro wrestling. Now that's not the case, and I don't have to depend on you.
Yeah.
And the fact that I don't have to depend on you and you still keep this shitty attitude about not saying wrestling, we're not a wrestling company, you're making my mind up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll go elsewhere. I don't need you anymore, WWE. You have to keep me. I don't need you. You need me.
I mean, there are so many alternatives right now, much better alternatives. And I think more and more people are slowly starting to see that AEW's out there. They'll find an impact, which is they're on a roll right now. You got NWA coming back out of the pandemic. MLW's got a new TV deal coming up. So many other wrestling options at this point. So, and the younger generation today, everybody streams things. So you can easily find other wrestling streaming. You don't even have to turn 100%. On your TV anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Like I just found out Impact is live on Twitch on Tuesdays, and I thought you had to have cable to watch Access, and I was like, "What? And I've been missing out this whole time." I was like, shit. But it's like going to Baskin Robbins, and they're only selling vanilla ice cream. Like we want chocolate, we want fucking caramel, we want strawberry. Like give me a mix of everything. Don't just sit me with vanilla and be like, this is what you get, and you like it or not. Give me your money. We're out. Like, and it's crazy, man.
above all, man. Like I just think it's like so disrespectful to the fans, disrespectful to the wrestlers, disrespectful to all the wrestling guys who work in that company. I'm talking about the Michael P.S. Hayes, and I'm sure a lot of those dudes, they don't take it as disrespect. I'm sure they take it as a business vision. This is just, we're wanting to be bigger. And I think that's a little bit of bullshit brainwashing to me.
Oh, I agree.
Like at the core of all of this, it's pro wrestling. Right. It's pro wrestling, dude. And if you can't even acknowledge that, man, that makes me lose a lot of faith. The little bit that I had.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's why we came on here today to say exactly what we felt. And like I said, I felt insulted being a 40-year wrestling fan, a pro wrestling fan, not an entertainment company fan, a wrestling fan. I have wrestling figures. I have wrestling everything. For 40 years, I've loved this sport So it's insulting. It's definitely insulting. And you know what? I'm just going to keep tuning in on Wednesday nights. Unfortunately, I got to watch Raw for the recap show, but it's not even enjoyable anymore. Like I could still watch SmackDown and enjoy it. There's some very good stuff, but Raw is just unenjoyable from the first hour to the last hour.
Well, hopefully, like you said, Tom, AEW keeps climbing and kind of holds the fire to the feet of Vince, and we see a true, everyone says war lately. There's been no war. Like until Vince is getting beat, there is no war. And but
NXT is not going to be the proving, start point for that. Vince was just like, take it off, put it on Tuesdays. Who gives a shit? And that's exactly what had happened. And then you've seen the decline of the NXT product as well.
Yeah,
just because of that would have bloated those people. The actual wrestlers that they still have left are usually the NXT brand, and they're not going out there every week and doing what we're watching on Raw or SmackDown. Like NXT was enjoyable up until a certain point, and even that has fallen so down. And I feel like that's part of getting put in this position to be, you're going to be the shining star on Wednesday nights. We're going to put you out there 2 weeks early. And you're going to really build something and make this whole problem go away. And then when it didn't, nobody was backing them up. Yeah. They were just pushed to the side, put back into their their Tupperware container and put into the closet. All right, whatever, here you go. Have fun.
Dude, I would not be shocked if NXT eventually goes away on USA.
That would be the best thing for them. They could go back to the network and become a wrestling product again.
Yeah.
That's when it was its best. As soon as they came on USA, Vince got his hands in it, and it's when it went to crap.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The fact that they're doing a QVC-esque merchandising show is the telltale fact of it all. Like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing with that? You already, if you're selling your merchandise online, nobody needs to see you fucking doing a show about it.
Right.
Check out this replica WWE title. Like,
right.
They won't even admit that they had passed with the other companies like in full when they're selling merchandise. We see it with toys all the time. We haven't seen an actual WCW title made in action figure form until this past like year and a half or so. And like that's just fucking bonkers. ECW, they just totally dropped the ball on ECW. Sure, now they're kind of starting to put things back in the spots. Like they just made a Bam Bam Bigelow that comes with the wrong fucking ECW title, but it comes with the ECW title nonetheless. And that's like, you don't fuck up history. Like don't take that away. Like you start brainwashing people thinking that it's crap. Of course they're going to think it's crap. But anybody who watched it when growing up, ECW was better than Monday Night Raw sometimes, most of the times. Same thing with WCW. And I know Tom will disagree with the WCW aspect of it, but WCW has fucking amazing matches. If you go back and look at the library, like the cruiserweight division, all that stuff. WWE just was like, whatever. Like, we don't need any of that anymore. Put a 24-hour belt out there.
I never said WCW didn't have good matches. I just said I always watched WWE.
Well, yes,
don't twist my words around.
I'm just saying. You really, really experience those 3-hour Raws, or I'm sorry, Nitros that actually worked. They weren't overbearingly, like you weren't tired and bored at 9:45 at night when it's ready to get off the air. You're fucking pumped because you're like, oh shit, Hogan's out here.
Cliffhangers.
Sting's about to beat the shit out of him. Like, I can't wait to see what's going to happen. What else could happen? WWE doesn't do that. They added a third hour on the Raw, and they watered down the first 2 hours, and then they made the whole third hour just suck. And thankfully they didn't do it to SmackDown. And
that wasn't Vince's choice. USA pushed him to do the third hour. He actually didn't want to do it. No, he didn't want to do it. He fought against him, but they wanted it, and unfortunately they did it. And you've seen what it's been since it's been there.
Yeah,
so.
It's those little things, man, that people let slide. That fans are like, They say fans like us that bitch about the little things, and when I say little things, I'm talking things like, the move to Peacock, okay, and everyone gets up in arms about it, and then you have those apologists, the loyalists, WWE. Oh, it's good, it's big money, it's a good thing, and in a snapshot, you're probably right, but then when you really step back and see all of these moves being made, that's when I really get worried for the direction of the company, is because that's when it's like, okay, they do the Peacock move. Good money. It's a business decision. They're here to make money. More money by the company. Hopefully wrestlers get paid more. But then they edit the matches. They edit certain things out. They're starting to manipulate pro wrestling history.
Absolutely.
And then they, I'm not even going to get into things like Saudi Arabia. That the geopolitical ramifications of dealing with a country that has done so many foul, fucked up things, and taking quote unquote the blood money. There's so many things that this company is doing where it's hard for me to support them. Even if the quality was phenomenal, it would still be like, dude, but they do a lot of shitty things. They do a lot of shitty things, even if the content is good, but the content isn't good. And then they come out and say, we're not a pro wrestling company. So it's like, dude, please win me over. Everything you're giving me, Saudi Arabia, selling off Peacock, editing old footage, wiping shit out. It's like, good God, dude. Like, you are giving me every reason to not be a fan of your company.
Yeah.
Excellent point there.
The missus is right on the money, man. It's Vince. He's trying to get established. Well,
it's true. He gets
money. Yeah.
He gets paid more, and then he releases more wrestlers.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
Yeah. He'll throw out $750,000 towards, the revival. Thank God they didn't bite on it. But he pays
fired him
Gallows
a
and
month
Anderson.
later.
He paid Gallows and Anderson $500,000 just to keep them off the open market. And then what happens? Nick Khan comes in, makes budget cuts. They're one of the first teams to go. Braun Strowman gets that huge contract, one of the first ones to go. They're going to re-sign that big bastard because of the CM for less. That's exactly what's going to happen.
The deal is already done because new shirts have been put up on WWE Shop for him.
Yep.
The deal has to be done. There's no way they're adding new shirts if he wasn't signed to a new deal.
Yeah. I think they felt the heat, man. They felt that CM Punk, Daniel Bryan heat. They're like, oh, we got to get this guy off the market.
See, their mistake
was
they felt the heat with what happened.
We're like, thank you, take him.
Yeah.
With what happened with Tommy End, they felt the heat. Oh no, we're gonna lose Braun too. Nobody cares about Braun. Nobody wanted to see Braun go to AEW. Nobody.
Yeah,
I didn't want to see him go there. So.
No.
But so that was just them feeling the heat. Hey, what can we do to try and get these people back who are pissed that we released all these guys?
Yeah.
So
them getting worried, gun shy,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess Vince trusts Nick Khan, man. Like for him to have the power to make these cuts and Vince to sign off on it, I'm honestly shocked.
Yeah.
Like you said, Vince signs off. If Nick went to him and said, "Hey, I want to release Aleister Black," and Vince says, "Hell no, it's never happening." At the end of the day, Vince, everything ends with Vince. Whether he likes it or he hates it, it all goes through Vince. So we could blame Nick Khan, but at the end, Vince is there stopping it, approving it, giving his thumbs up, giving his thumbs down.
I have a theory of who the next big person to leave that company is going to be.
Wait, released or contract expiring?
Either or. No, I don't think he'll be. I don't think he'll be released. I think it'll be a contract to expire, and he decides to leave the company.
I probably could guess exactly who you're talking about. I know who I think is. I think it's Kevin Owens.
Well, there's KO. I think Bray Wyatt's out that fucking door as soon as his contract's up.
That could be too.
And like I was just about to say, how crazy is it that they put all that money into Aleister Black's new gimmick, and there was no protection? Like they just like he was on Raw a week before he got released, like, and then they just snip him away, and then they're going backwards. Like what's the problem? Like you guys were building up a mountain and you just took out the foundation for it. Yeah. Like what? And then he goes on and he's doing his the gimmick that they made for him, which I'm sure he helped to build, but like he just took it. It went right over. Kind of what like we're getting rumors that CM Punk and like Cult of Personality is a thing with AEW. Like that was something that was built there, and he's just nope. They're taking their ball and they're not going home with it anymore. They're going to a whole different fucking court, and they're starting to play basketball with way better, things. Like, oh well, we've been missing out on this. Yeah, it's wild to just to think about how WWE is even thinking in terms of like, whoa, well, we're doing it right.
Yeah.
Where, why, how?
Right. You're bringing back. Oh, Goldberg.
Yeah.
Come on.
Nobody wants to see that. Although if you go by the crowd, they did.
The fight Lashley on top of it too. Ugh,
you don't think Kevin Owens is watching what's going on in AEW, wishing he was a part of that?
Adam Cole too, man.
Sure, half of WWE's roster is doing the same thing.
Sami Zayn, those guys, all the guys, they all came up together. They were all on the indies together. You don't think they hear about what the locker room is like there and they get creative input and they could go out and cut a promo just using bullet points and not have to be handed a script?
I'll say this, though. If and when, and I do think it's going to happen, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk join this company in September. Yeah. I'm good. I'm good for a while. I don't need any surprises. That I will be good for a couple years. That'll get me through until the Coles, the KOs, all the 2 years from now when their contracts start running up, then it'll be fun. We'll get some surprises. But as far as like, they've hit us with so many good roster jumps. based off of this shitty mentality, all these roster jumps and all these surprises, these are all coming out of our main topic, which is the way the way Nick Khan, who's pulling the strings right now, is viewing this company. That is a prime example. The reason why Aleister Black was disgruntled, the reason why Jon Moxley was disgruntled, Miro was disgruntled, Matt Hardy, Cody, all of these guys, they're disgruntled because the brass does not view this company as a pro wrestling company.
Yep. And these are all guys who love pro wrestling.
Yep.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it. Anything else before we wrap it up, guys?
No, I think you guys said it all.
I think we all made excellent points. So let's hope. I mean, I lost hope. I'm not even going to fucking fake it anymore. All right, guys. Check us back later tonight. Was it Vince will never make another superstar bigger than? Well, that's true.
No, never.
It's very there will never be anyone bigger than the company again. So that's a very, very good point.
Hey, listen, that's another point that Kevin Nash made is when NWO started to sell more shirts than anybody else in the company, Vince killed it.
Absolutely.
What does that tell you? What does that tell you right there?
Very true.
How are you going to be afraid of success? That's all I want to know. Like, I don't think Vince is this dumb. I think he's just there for the paycheck now and kind of riding it out. Well, I can end on that. That would be a good way to do it. Oh, you stop it, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony. All right, guys. Well,
my last thing and it goes on to what Off the Top Rope said. It goes to they just need to let the talent be talented. If they explode and become The Rock and they have a little more power and say in their things, that's a good thing.
And listen, at the end of the day, it's only going to make WWE more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, who are you hurting by not pushing them? Yourself.
Right.
That's it. You're only cutting off your nose to spite your face at that point. It's the only thing you're doing. If people want to see the person and they're going to turn into your show to see it, you're the one turning ratings away.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
100%. Yeah.
Well, if you want to see something entertaining tonight, turn on the Raw recap show after Raw is over. Save yourself 3 hours. Go do something fun. I'll do the suffering for everybody. I'll see you here.
It's worth watching because 2 minutes into last week's Raw recap, I was literally laughing my ass off. So it's worth the watch.
All right, guys. That's it for us. I am the OG Fig Kid. Plugs? Any plugs?
Turnbuckle Tavern at Turnbuckle Tavern Instagram, at T-Buckle Tavern on Twitter, and the big thing, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're putting out a ton of content for you guys, so just subscribe to that.
Make sure the bell is. You click the bell, get notifications when we go live. That's it for us, guys. We will see you soon. We'll see you later on tonight. Have a good week.